What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise live here on a Thursday night. Today, we get to talk about a Game 7 that is going to happen in the OKC and Denver series. We're also going to reveal the 8th edition of our big boards. We've been doing big boards on post-game shows all season long. The draft combine has been underway. We have player measurements, and that has affected my big board a little bit. We also have a lot of players returning to school, so it'll be a bit of a different big board than our last rankings, and I'm looking forward to that. Eric, what's going on, man? How's it going tonight?
Oh, great. Just in the middle of trying to renegotiate this vetoed trade I had. So, uh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
presenting a different version of it.
yeah, good luck. So we have our mock off season underway. If
A
you know
little
what it
better.
is, then yeah, we simulate an off season. We get 30 people. We all are GMs of a team, and we make deals. We do a mock draft, and we do a mock free agency period. So yeah, let's just say there's been some questionable stuff so far. So anyway, we're not gonna focus too much on that today. We'll have a future stream maybe where we go over some of the moves that were made. Eric, you're rocking the Timbers gear. I don't know if Connor's here, but I'm sure he'd be proud of your apparel.
Yeah. It's actually a work shirt. I was wearing it today for work. I was like, oh, might as well represent on stream, right?
Yeah, represent. But yeah, let's just jump into it, man. Sorry we're going live a little bit late. The mock off season chaos has pushed back the stream a little bit, but we're just gonna have a short little stream. We're gonna talk a little bit about this game, then we're gonna reveal our big boards, talk about prospects, and that should be fun. If you want our thoughts on the sale, I dropped a video on Tuesday, and you can go watch our stream back from yesterday, an edition of Hoops Crush that I was on. It was us two and Crushables, and we talked at length about the Blazers being up for sale, so you can go check that out after this if you want to, if you want our thoughts on the sale. But yeah, we're talking draft prospects, we're talking NBA playoffs. It's been a phenomenal playoff so far this season, and we get a dandy of a Game 6. Denver defends home court and forces a Game 7 in OKC. That's going to be a fun game to watch because anything can happen in a Game 7. You have Nikola Jokic have himself a good game. Christian Brown had himself a good game. Julian Strother had himself a good game. My guy, the Gonzaga legend, got hot at the end of the third, got some playoff burn, and came up big for Denver in this Game 6, man, which is just super cool to see. Super cool to see Strother versus Chet, two Gonzaga guys there, and Strother playing really, really well. Eric, what were your thoughts on that game? And do you think this is just going to be a Game 7 where OKC dominates at home because they have home court advantage? Or do you think Denver has a legitimate chance in Game 7?
I think they have a legitimate chance. They should have won Game 5 in OKC. So they had that meltdown in the fourth quarter, just like they did in Game 4 at home. But yeah, I'm just happy one of these series is going 7. I know there's still a chance the Boston New York one does, but that series kind of lost its luster once Tatum went down. Even if it does go Game 7, I guess it would be interesting just because it is a winner take all game. But yeah, I'm just happy at least one of these series has gone the distance and is competitive. And this has been a really fun series. And man, the narratives around what happens with this one game, if OKC wins, they're clearly the best team left in the field, in my opinion, and should win a championship this year. But if they lose, there's going to be all kinds of question marks about what they need to do to improve, or do they just keep it just keep going and hoping next year's better. So man, it's going to be crazy after what happens because OKC they're still on the verge of being like having a disappointing season slash winning the championship. So yeah, anything could happen right now.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to watching this Game 7. We might have a Game 7 in the Boston New York series, but this Denver series has been very interesting. OKC has a blowout win under their belt, but Denver has given them trouble. And if Denver can can take care of business against them in Game 7. You got a Denver, Minnesota conference finals, and then you maybe have Knicks and Pacers there in the East. This is parity in the NBA, man. OKC was dominant all season long. They won 68 games. They were phenomenal. But in a 7-game series against a team with experience, with arguably the best player in the world, it's not so easy. And Denver has found a way to make this a legitimate series. So shout out to them. And I'm kind of rooting for them. OKC's going to have their 10-year window. You know, they're going to have so many chances at this thing that I'm okay if they lose in the second round again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the best case scenario right now. I know a lot of you do not want Denver to win a championship, or to, a lot of people hate Denver. Like, that's fine. But I do think halting the OKC dynasty from happening as soon, or like preventing that from starting as soon as possible, um, making it much further out next year, or 2 or 3 years down the line, I think is best for everyone involved in the league, because we don't want OKC to win a title and then just keep improving. They have all kinds of assets to keep getting better and better, keep adding pieces and stuff like that. We want them to kind of feel the pressure of, will this team ever win? And maybe you have to trade a key piece or blow it up, or do something different. And instead of, oh man, this team's so young and has so many assets and they've already won a title. I mean, that's pretty scary for the rest of the league.
Yeah, I agree. They have a lot of picks to play around with. They have moves to get better. It'll be interesting to see if they lose in the second round, if they start to put some of those in play on the trade market, because they could definitely, if they win a championship this year, why not just keep it rolling with what they got and try and cash in on those picks in the future? But if they don't, then why not just be aggressive for once? They have so many picks to play with. They could go after a star and still have picks left over. That's why they're in such a good position. So this Game 7 could mean a complete difference of an offseason for them. Maybe they get in play for a Kevin Durant to bring him back to OKC, right? It's not going to cost a ton, and they're going to be in a good position even after he retires if they traded for him. So that could be maybe something that they might take a look at if they lose in the second round. There's stars on the market that they could be in play for. So this is a monumental Game 7, of course, for the playoffs, but also for OKC's short-term future. I mean, even if they lose this game, they could still be patient. They have a long runway in front of them. They're the youngest team in the league. So it might not change anything, but there is more of a possibility, I think, that they get aggressive in the offseason if they lose in the second round again after being the 1 seed again. So future implications on the line. And then Denver, it looked like they were just going to be playoff fodder almost, even if they beat the Clippers. Kind of expected them to get cakewalked by the Thunder. That has not been the case. You have the story that came out this year. We gotta get Eric back. There we go. They had the story that came out this year about the ownership didn't want to trade Michael Porter Jr. because he's from Missouri, and they don't have many assets. They don't really have a way to get better, and it seemed like they have been sorely missing Bruce Brown and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Christian Brown is slotted into that defensive role, and Peyton Watson off the bench is a good defender, but this team is definitely worse than the team that won a ring. That's why they were the 4th seed, and it seemed like they were kind of stuck going nowhere, and all of a sudden they're 1 win away from a conference finals where they'd have home court advantage. So it's funny how things can
Fire their
change.
coach 3 games before.
But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of turmoil, in Denver with some of the reports about their ownership not wanting to trade Michael Porter Jr. They fire Mike Malone. There's no turmoil if you beat OKC in a Game 7 on the road and make the Western Conference Finals. So very fun Game 7, chock full of narratives. We love that.
Taylor Packer says, when the F are we going to find out if Tamani made second team on defense? It does seem like the awards just stopped being announced all of a sudden. Like, MVP still hasn't been announced. Like,
yeah.
They
very
need to get to some of
interesting.
these awards.
Yeah, I want to see Tamani on an all-defensive team, but
Hopefully.
who knows? Who knows? Anyway, that's it for the playoffs. We're gonna reveal our big boards here in a second, but if you guys have any questions, we will answer your questions in the live chat. If you have any questions about the sale, this will be a little segue, and then we'll talk, of course, about the good stuff, the draft board.
Taylor Packer asked me this question earlier today, and I'm interested. I think we should talk about it here. So he brought up the video of Joe Cronin after the lottery where Sean Hyken was interviewing him. And Cronin answers kind of weirdly that he's hoping to go best player available and that he hopes they don't deviate from that. So he wanted to know if we thought that was confirmation that he's not really in charge of what they're doing, or if we just think that was just.
It's a weird comment. You have to.
Talking.
It's a weird comment. You have to wonder if it's like something about like their scouting department getting some sort of say. I don't know. Like it's a collective decision with him and his scouting department is like the most optimistic way you could look at it. I think the obvious way to look at it is like, yeah, Burt Cold has a say, and Cronin is just doing what Burt Cold tells him to, because there's been a ton of worry about that, and that's not going to go away until they sell the team. So who knows?
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of torn between whether anything he said there means anything and just like he was just speaking off the cuff after not getting, he's trying to find a way to justify the 11th pick. He talks about, I don't know if it was before or after this comment, but he said something to the effect of there's a lot of quality players at 11. We're fine, we'll be okay drafting there. So I feel like he was just kind of grasping at ways to justify being not disappointed with the 11th pick. And so I don't know if it's necessarily anything you can read into completely. So I think some of it was just, okay, he's just he's just trying to like make it seem like the Blazers, it doesn't alter their plans at all. I don't necessarily think it means anything in terms of what he can and can't do or anything.
Yep. Agreed. Is there any other good questions in chat? Let's see. He literally answered like he hoped they didn't pivot. Like, what do you mean you make the call? Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know. Like, see, the thing is we would probably discuss this a lot more if the team wasn't getting sold. It's like we're finally gonna be past the Burt Cold questions. So it's like, all right, we just got to put up with it for like 9 to 12 more months or whatever. So, until then, I guess, I don't know, enjoy Burt Cold meddling for the time being.
It really is starting to feel, Tori. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with this and think that Cronin and Chauncey were deserving of their extensions. If that's what you want to think, totally okay. Like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have got it or whatever. I'm not saying you're in the wrong for thinking that way. But in my opinion, it feels kind of like with this announcement that they wanted to give a thank you to Chauncey and Joe for being kind of good yes men for the last few years. And so no matter what happens in terms of selling the team, they know that money is guaranteed now, and they get a little portion of that for, what they went through the last few years. And we know Cold is going to get paid off the sale of the team, and we know Jody has been making bank off of that, off of being in charge of the trust. So I think that was their kind of way of taking them, and then the new owner can still come in and let them go or whatever, do something different or try them out. But if he lets them go, he has to pay out their salary. So I think that was just a final thank you, knowing they're about to sell the team. It really feels like that to me.
Yeah. It was weird extensions. Like a normal operating team doesn't give those extensions. Chauncey did not really deserve that extension. And there's always people that'll come around to just excusing anything the organization does and excusing any extension. It's like, basically the roster sucks and Chauncey won 36 games. Most games in 4 years. He deserves an extension. Oh, but the GM that put together that roster, he also deserves an extension because it's the right move for the roster to. It's like, if that's the logic, you can literally excuse anything that the coach or the GM does. The GM can put an awful product out on the floor, and you can just say oh no, they should be bad. It's good to be bad. It's a rebuild. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, if he goes and makes a swing this offseason, you're also saying it's good that he made a swing this offseason. It's interesting, but I agree with you. I think the extensions were basically rewards for those guys. The timing of everything is just super interesting. Those extensions, then the lottery, they fall from 10 to 11, and then the next day the team's for sale. And I just don't think it's all coincidence.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. So, I wonder if we'll ever, hear about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what a new owner does with those guys. If he gives them some time to see what they're like first, or if he just cleans house when he comes in and says he wants to start anew. Yeah. And I put this in chat, but I see a lot of questions about specific prospects in chat. We're about to talk about our big boards. We'll probably mention or talk about every name you could possibly think of. So
when we bring up a name in our big boards, feel free to ask any questions about them. We'll try and answer any questions you guys have about specific prospects when we talk about them. So yeah, we can start that right now if you want to go through your 1 through 5, Eric.
All right. Let me bring this up. My 1 through 5 is the same 5 guys it's been for a while. I did finally flip 2 of them. I still have Cooper Flag 1, Dylan Harper 2. Still have Ace Bailey 3, and I have flipped Trey and VJ 4 or 5. I have Trey now at 4, VJ at 5.
Interesting.
It's so close between those 2 guys, in my opinion, though. I could very easily be persuaded to go the other way too, as I have been for a while.
Interesting. All right. My top 5. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Cooper Flag at 1, Dylan Harper at 2, VJ Edgecombe at 3, Trey Johnson at 4, and Kaman Maluach at 5.
All right.
I've finally taken Bailey out of my top 5, and it feels good.
Yeah, congratulations. I actually moved Maluach up to 6 on my board.
Yeah.
Just legit size, wingspan, moved well in the drills.
Shooting potential,
I really. I was obviously he was gonna have the size, but just the confirmation on that, and I don't know. It seems like he's going to be a legit, really good player. So,
am I crazy to think he has the potential to be a top 3 center in the league one day? Just the combination of dude, because he could be he has the physical tools to be maybe defensive player of the year one day. The size and the way he moves is a really rare combination. And, there's more that goes into defense for a big man. But I just feel like he's going to be, a top 5 rim protector, but also, versatile. on the perimeter, being able to switch and maybe cover some guys. And that is a really, really great combination. And then he's going to be able to finish plays around the rim with his size. If he adds any sort of shooting potential and his shot looks pretty good, and then can maybe put it on the floor there at all, like he can move decently. So that's where the potential lies. I mean, that's a definitely an all-star caliber setter. So I just think he is one of the safest bets at like fringe stardom in the draft. And I think he has legitimate game-changing upside. Like I'm tempted to move him up to 3. I'm just coming fully around on the idea of what he could be, and I think he's a good combination of high floor, high ceiling.
Yeah, for me, I don't know about star. I think he's like, I put him more in like the Klingon type category where they're going to be, could be elite defensively.
I think he has more upside than Klingon, though. I hate to say it.
Okay, I'm just saying like similar type of player. I'm not saying like that's his ceiling or whatever. But I don't see, because like Jokic and Embiid type centers, like the top 3 centers or whatever. I don't know who else you want to include at that, but like those type of centers to me, I just don't see Malach like being able to put the ball on the floor and create and pass and stuff the way that those centers do. So like that, I think that's the only difference between like offensively. I just don't think his ceiling is super high outside of maybe being able to shoot a little bit. And
I think he's just very raw. Like Klingon won't be able to be a guy that puts the ball on the floor because I don't think he's coordinated enough or like quick enough to do so. I don't get that feeling with Malach. Of course, he has to be able to knock down threes, but like we see at times like we've seen instances where Brook Lopez has attacked to close out and he's slow as hell and he's not a ball handler at all. But like when you can shoot, all right, yeah, you're gonna get run off the line, and then what can you do from there? I mean, Bam Adebayo didn't have much skill coming into the league, and all of a sudden he became one of the best passing bigs, and he's just coordinated and moves well. And I kind of get that vibe from Malach. Like he's coordinated, moves well. The skills are raw, but if you can properly develop him and develop some of those skills, develop that shot, then you could have yourself a phenomenal two-way center. And if not, he's going to be probably a top 5 to 10 rim protector in the league and can move, and that's still a really good player. So I like him more than Ace Bailey at this point. We have the same top 6.
Yeah, Bailey at 6.
Yeah, I've kind of, like Trey Johnson, I'm still worried about him being able to turn the corner. That's why I'm not putting him ahead of VJ. I'm still worried about his ability to get downhill to the rim, but I think in NBA space and playing off that jump shot, he'll find ways, and he'll get a little better there. I think he needs to get stronger, but that can happen as well. So I think that, if he can get downhill and make plays, I think he has tremendous upside. And that's just, of course, the one worry. But, he's top 4 just because I think he's a safer upside bet than Ace Bailey to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely think he's safer than almost anyone else in this draft.
Yeah. He measured decently. I think it was like 8'6.5" standing reach. Ace Bailey, a little shorter. His standing reach is like 8'11". Let me actually pull up the website for this stuff. So I don't know. Like the Bailey thing, he's not. He can put muscle on, but he's not particularly strong. I don't think he's as big as people say. And then I don't necessarily buy his 3-point shot. He wasn't the greatest 3-point shooter in college. Cooper Flagg shot a better 3-point percentage than him. And he also shot below 70% from the free throw line. I feel like the idea of Ace Bailey is, this 25 point per game, 6'9" scorer that hits all these tough shots. But it's like, the idea is I don't think he's close to that. I think he has to improve as a 3-point shooter. His shot's a little flat. And then in today's NBA, which is all about efficient shots, can you really make a living off all the tough mid-range shots that Ace Bailey shoots? And then his team defense needs to improve a lot. There's just so many red flags with him, and I just can't shake the feeling that if there's a bust from the top of this draft, it is absolutely going to be him.
Yeah, that's all valid. Um, I I hate to keep going back to this, but there are certain players, and I get this feeling about certain players, and this is going to be completely dependent on where he goes. But in my mind, let's just say he goes 3 to Philly, and he's playing with Embiid and Maxey, and you got McCain spreading the floor next year, and Paul George, and all that kind of stuff. To me, that it'll be easier for him than if he has to go to a team where he's expected to be like Kevin Durant right away, like and have to carry a team. So I think the game is going to open up or be easier for him at least initially if he's on a team like that.
Will he even play that much if he ends up?
Who knows? I mean, he'd have to show out or whatever, but I just have a feeling that's going to be a really good fit. We talk about that sometimes, how much fit matters or like the team dynamic, and I just feel like that's a really good landing spot for him to succeed if he's going to be successful. I mean, he still could be a bust, of course, but I just think that's like a really good place if you're going to maximize his talents.
I don't. Honestly, I don't really agree. I feel like it's a good opportunity for him to get like reps playing more off the ball, but all his upside lies in like what he can do with the ball in his hands, and he's not going to get that opportunity from the jump. And if he's
Well, he will because Embiid will be hurt and Paul George will be hurt.
yeah, but well, I mean, we'll see what's up with Embiid. Like, but if they have Embiid and Grimes and McCain and Maxey and Paul George, like he's going to be the fifth offensive option in a lot of those lineups if he's playing that much. But I think his team defense and if he can't shoot the three ball that well, I think that could get him played off the floor where he's not starting. Like you're going to start him over Grimes at the three. You're going to start him over Paul George, who you're paying $58 million to. And if he ends up out of the rotation, like there's a legitimate chance he could end up out of that rotation as a rookie. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know how bad that is. It's going to take some time to develop him, but I just don't know if that's the best situation for him for that reason.
Yeah, I see why you're saying that. I don't know. I just have a feeling if he goes to the right team, it'll quell a lot of those issues.
I almost think like Utah is the best place for him. I don't know why, but like they kind of need a player like that. Like somebody who
Utah,
just
yeah,
high upside, boomer bust, like somebody that can create their own shot at a forward position.
yeah, but going there, he's also going to get a lot more defensive attention than he would on a team like Philly. That's why might not be like he might struggle like he did at Rutgers at times to shoot.
Yeah, well, he's going to get more attention from his own team in Utah than he would from his own team in Philly. So yeah, it's just he's going to be an enigma for a while. Like he's one of those guys that kind of bends the way you evaluate prospects because of like what he's good at. He hits a lot of tough shots, but he has such glaring red flags at the same time. So it's like, how do you weigh both of those? Is why he's a really tough evaluation. All right, 6 to 10. You want to go for your 6 to 10?
Well, you're up first, 6 to 10.
We can do you first each time. It's fine. Unless you want to switch it up.
Do me first. All right.
Pause.
I
can go. Yeah. I can go. We can alternate if you want. Up to you.
No, I got it. Malawatch 6. I've Jeremiah Fierce 7. Rashir Fleming 8.
Whoa.
Yaxel Lendenborg 9.
Whoa.
And Con Knipple 10.
Whoa. I like that you have a How old is Yaxel?
22. I think.
I like that you have a 22-year-old in your top 10.
Yeah, finally.
That's
finally
growth.
did.
Look at that growth. I like it. Do you see like star upside in Yoxel? Is that why you have him at 9? Like, is he that sneaky, 22-year-old like star upside that like we look back on? It's like obviously he did.
I so I'm a sicko. I watched him play in the NIT,
Yeah.
uh, and um, I'm not saying he is this player, and I think I've mentioned this before, but the dude reminded me so much of like a poor man's Cade, the way he played, the way he methodically broke down defenses, his passing style, his shot even kind
Mhm.
of looked similar. And like it felt like you had a guy that was, I don't know, just kind of figuring things out, and he didn't even have that good of a team around him. Um, so I think when we talk about like players who have some sort of a bit of a creation upside, a bit of a playmaking upside, and then when he measures with like I wasn't expecting him to have like a 7'4" wingspan. So like he was bigger than I thought. I thought he was going to measure kind of small, similar to what was the guy? OKC drafted him from Weber State, Dylan.
Dylan
What was
Jones.
his? Yeah, Dylan Jones. Like he played kind of similar to him, but like Dylan Jones ended up measuring terribly, right? And is
Yeah.
more guard size or whatever. So like when Yoxel measured 7'4", I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
because like it made me think he had um like his rebounding stuff was legit. Like he was a really good rebounder, averaged like over 11 rebounds per game this year, I think. And just I think he has defensive upside too with that frame and some maybe secondary rim protection, help defense type upside, and I don't know, just a real intriguing skill set for me.
Yeah. The his archetype, I think the question always is like can they do it against similarly sized players that are like just as athletic or more athletic than him?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I don't think he's the greatest athlete, but with his combination of like size plus skill at the college level, like he just dominates. Um, but translating that to the league, uh, I just don't know if he's going to like be quick enough or skilled enough or like good enough at one particular thing to like really make it stick as like a star in the league. I just don't know how consistently he's going to be able to create his own shot at the NBA level against bigger defenses. He has some really good moments in college. It's just always the translation question for me. But I do have him higher than I had him. I will say that. We'll get to him. His measurements were very impressive, and he is definitely somebody that should go in the first round. I think he'd be a steal in the 20s. I'll just say that.
And also, I mean, this isn't everything. You can't necessarily read into it. You have to watch him to understand this. But he averaged almost 2 blocks and 2 steals a game too. So it's not
Yeah.
like he's not putting like this is he averaged like 17, 11, 4 assists with almost 2 blocks and 2 steals a game. And like I know it was at UAB, so it's not as good a competition or whatever. But like the dude can just flat out ball and he does like a little bit of everything. It remains to be seen whether you're right that he doesn't do anything well enough, but
Well,
I don't know
like
that
well enough to be a
rebounding is
star. Well enough to
yeah,
be a star. I think he has a super high floor.
yeah. So I don't know, man. I'm really intrigued by those wings that can kind of handle the ball and do different things. And when he measured at a legit like power forward type size and the things he can do with the ball, man, I was like, man, we gotta pick him at 11 if he's there. Like I feel like he has that good of an impact that we should consider him there.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether or not the Blazers would
And
actually consider him.
I've been super high on Rashir Fleming for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, you were pretty early on Fleming as well. Um, like Fleming, he obviously measured just as well, if not a little better than we thought.
Yeah, we were talking about like if he has center size, then he becomes a really, really
Yeah.
intriguing prospect. And what was his standing reach? Do you recall what the exact number was? I think it was like 9'1.5", which is
think
like
it was
taller than
9'1", I
like
was gonna
Jared
say, yeah.
Allen, for example. Like
Yeah.
it's comparable to some centers. Like
Yeah.
I think he can be like a 3-and-D mobile center, which is
Yeah.
kind of fun.
And he can shoot too. So yeah, I really like Rashir Fleming, but I just, if we're talking about like who could potentially be a star versus an elite role player, I have to give a slight edge to Yoxel, but like it's very close between those two. I wouldn't have a problem if we took either one.
Yeah, I will say something about Fleming just like feels like, oh, he's one of those guys that shoots 43% in college and gets to the league and he's like 35%, which is fine, but it's not like what you're hoping for. But I mean, that's impossible to project.
But if he's like a center, like if he's like your center, like a backup center or like whatever, 35% is fine. Like that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think like the allure of him is like, oh yeah, super switchable, can maybe protect the rim a little bit, can knock down threes, attack closeouts, especially as a center. Like he'll be athletic. He's not going to like wow you with his ball handling or anything, but straight line drives against closeouts should be something he can do, especially against opposing fives. You have to wonder if he can like really hold up on the boards against NBA level fives. I think that might be an area that could hold him back from being a center compared to a power forward. I just think his athleticism at the center spot is special, and his measurements were a good indicator for hoping that he can play that position.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my 6 to 10. If there's any good questions in the comments about any of these players that we're talking about, feel free to read them off. At 6, I have Ace Bailey. At 7, I have Con Knipple. Did you have Con Knipple in your top 10?
Yeah, I have at 10.
Okay. At 8, I have Jeremiah Fears. At 9, I have Carter Bryant. At 10, I have Yegor Demon.
Okay, you moved Demon way up and Carter Bryant way up.
Yeah, I feel like Demon's going to be able to shoot well enough to be fine as a three-point shooter. He's one of those guys that struggle from 3 in college, and just watching the way he shoots, I'm just like, he'll figure out, like, his form is fine. He'll find a way to be a good shooter. And he might be the best passer in the draft. And he's 6'9". And he played some decent defense. Like, that's just the upside with that. The uniqueness of that is something to take a gamble on in the lottery.
Hmm.
And then Carter Bryant is just young, raw, but like has flashes of everything you want to see a flash of, and is super athletic and is 6'8".
Man, you just like him because you mentioned Tamani, right?
I haven't listened to that clip, but I heard that he mentioned Tamani.
I thought he measured like 6'6".
No, he was decent sized, if I recall correctly.
I thought he measured 6'6" with like a 7-foot wingspan.
I mean, even if you measured that, I think that's fine. Let me look. 6'6.5" barefoot, 7-foot wingspan, basically 8'10" standing reach. That's big enough to play the 4.
Yeah, he was a little shorter than I thought he was going to be. That's why I didn't include him with the.
He's like
Fleming.
He's 6'7" with an 8'10" standing reach. Like Fleming, if we're talking about 9'1.5" standing reach playing center, like Carter Bryant can play power forward.
Yeah,
and he's more like wing than Fleming is anyway. So I think he'll be fine at either forward position. I mean, if he was in OKC, because I feel like that's where his floor is, OKC at 15, they would probably play him at some small ball 5. So knowing the way that they do things. So I like Carter Bryant a lot. He's starting to get a lot of hype, like that he's gonna go in the lottery. But Yeah, like I was looking at this back end of the top 10, and it's like, what are teams always looking for? What is hard to find? High upside forwards. High upside forwards. That basically explains why I bumped Carter Bryant and Yegor Demon up. Because it just feels like these are the type of guys where at the end of the day, teams would kick themselves for not drafting. And like maybe they got a decent guard, but it's like, oh yeah, a guard that maybe one day scores 18, 19, 20 a game. But it's like, you can go trade for that guy pretty easily. Whereas, a 6'9" point guard, you're not easily trading for that guy. That plays some defense, and especially if Demon can develop his shot, that guy's going to be a lot harder to trade for and a lot more coveted and a lot harder to find. So that's kind of the logic behind Bryant at 9 and Fleming or Demon at 10. Anyway,
Yeah, just when it comes to like Ace Bailey though, like we were talking about with Ace, I think Carter Bryant is pretty safe, but Yegor's, yeah, it's tough. Like I mean, he got the height, but at least his wingspan wasn't great for his height, but he definitely has the size to be one of those true playmaking difference makers, no matter what position he is.
what'd you say about Jaeger? Said what about his size? Sorry, I was reading chat.
Like height wise, he's really good. His wingspan was a little disappointing, but
Yeah,
for
if
that
a nine
side,
and a
but
half
yeah.
standing reach though, like that's fine. I also think like height for a player like him matters a little bit more than for other players because of the passer he is and being able to see over the defense. Like, it's good that he's 6'8" and a quarter instead of like 6'6" and a half. Because it's just going to be easier for him to like see the entire floor and see over the defense. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
All right, you're 11 to 15.
All right, next up on my list, I have Yakuchonis at 11, Derek Queen 12, Nick Clifford 13, Carter
Hey,
Bryant 14, and Danny Wolf 15.
hey, Danny Wolf moving up, nice.
Yeah, I was happy that he measured a legit center size. I was a little worried he's going to be a little shorter than that. But
Yeah. All right, my 11 to 15. At 11, Derek Queen. At 12, Nick Clifford. At 13, Rashir Fleming. At 14, Cedric Coward. At 15, Maxime Reynaud.
all right.
Where you want to start?
I mean, we could skip Nick Clifford. I think we both have talked about him enough. Just plug
Yeah.
and play type player.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Love
a
Nick
decent
Clifford.
fit for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Queen, I'm kind of worried about the lack of athleticism.
Yeah.
And his size,
And the
it was
defense. And yeah.
okay. Yeah, I mean the dude can get buckets, but like, what else is he doing? Really, really, really weak vertical. It's kind of disappointing athletic wise. He can score though, so that's why I still have him up in the lottery. But just kind of a little disappointed with uh, just him as a prospect in general. Just because I don't know, outside of scoring the ball, like does he do enough other things well to warrant the lack of other things? And then Yakuchonis, kind of similar to what you were talking about, Demon. Just I know he's a little shorter than expected too, but he uses his size pretty well, and I don't know. I just feel like he's the type of guy who will get better as he gets older. Carter Bryant, I like for all the same reasons you mentioned. Um, he could rise up a little bit ahead of this little group with Queen and Clifford on my board, maybe. Um, and then Danny Wolf, really good skill set. Was hoping he had legit size. He did. Um, so yeah, to be able to pass the ball and move like that at that size, I think is just really intriguing.
Yep. Um,
And I have Coward 16, by the way. So
Hey, yeah, yeah. So
he better stay in, man.
he better stand. So he's getting a lot of hype right now, but a lot of the hype is like his measurements were phenomenal. He's 6'5" and a quarter barefoot, but has a 7'2" wingspan, 8'10" standing reach, and he's a knockdown shooter and has really good like passing feel. Showed really good passing moments at Washington State. He played 6 games and ended up with an injury, was out for the season. But like he just feels like I don't know, he kind of feels like an obvious sleeper. Like, oh, he only played 6 games at Washington State. Like, he's not that good. He played at Eastern Washington before that. But those 6 games at Washington State, he put together some of the most impressive tape of like any college prospect. Almost 18 points per game, 7 rebounds, almost 4 assists per game. Shooting 40% from 3. He's a career 38.8% three-point shooter. He's a career 83.2% free throw shooter. But like had some crafty mid-range buckets. And I just think he's going to be a knockdown shooter with like his wingspan and passing feel and all that. I don't know, man. It just kind of feels like he's hiding in plain sight. And now the hype is starting to catch up to him. But I remember like I brought him up mid-season. Like this dude is sneaky. This dude is sneaky. Like and it was one of those things where it's like, man, you wish you had more tape on him.
Yeah, for sure.
But like then when he goes and measures like 8'10" standing reach, it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, like everything looks good with this guy with those 6 games and this tape. It's just obviously it's kind of risky because before that he played 2 years at Eastern Washington, like had a decent sophomore season, but he looked even better at Washington State. Like, but the competition level, Washington State early season schedule, he didn't play against the highest competition level, so it's like the translatability question. But I just think, he might be able to play some 4 in today's NBA with that shooting ability and ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit. Like, that's super intriguing. And I don't know how old he is, but he only played 3 years. So he's a fun prospect.
Did I hear he played at Willamette at one point?
Yeah. Yeah. He did. He's only 21 years old, though. Yeah. He turns 22 on September 11th. Yeah, he played at Willamette. Where's he from? Oh, Fresno, California. And he averaged 19 and 12 at Willamette. And then transferred to Eastern Washington for 2 years. And then, yeah. But he's still only 21, despite playing 4 years at college.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still pretty young for that. So, yeah, I like him. I think, like, if he might be the guy that rises into the lottery out of nowhere. But if not, if the Blazers could somehow trade down and like snag him and snag another prospect, I would not hate that at all. I would like that. I kind of want the Blazers to find a way to trade down to like 14, 15, 16, like, because you're probably going to have one of like Deming, Clifford, Fleming, or Coward there. And at that point, or Lendeborg, right? Like, you're going to have good options. I haven't even said Colin Murray Bowles. At that point, like, I still am butchering his name probably. But, like, I'm cool with all those prospects. Like, you're going to be able to get one of those guys at, like, 17 and 18. Like, trade down. See if you can get off Grant's contract. Still end up with a pretty good prospect. I don't hate that.
Did you see what the Blazers in our mock-off season just did?
No.
They got off Jeremy Grant's contract.
Okay, let me read it. Wait, it's not posted yet. Where can I see this?
It's involving Aeromancer, so he sent it to us. Bulls get Jeremy Grant and the 11th pick. Blazers get Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, and their first-round pick back.
Huh. Chat, how do you feel about that trade from the Blazers' end?
The Blazers did that in real life. What are you thinking?
I'm disappointed. Like, I feel like we need to get a prospect out of this draft.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want to completely get I mean, value wise, it's not terrible, but like, yeah, I'd be disappointed if we traded
Yeah.
completely out of this draft. Yeah,
I mean, Zach Collins is a backup center. Like, I would rather trade down in this draft and then like lose next year's pick, to be honest, or find another
yeah,
way to get back next year's pick.
yeah.
I get the thought process.
I'm sad because I was about to get the 11th pick for taking on Jeremy and
Yeah. Herder gives the Blazers some shooting, I guess, but he hasn't been that good lately. Basically setting up the team for next offseason if you do that to have an insane amount of cap space under a new ownership group. Like, that's interesting. But like if he can, like, the dude running the Blazers, if he could trade Robert Williams somehow and like get back into the late first and then take somebody that falls to him that maybe you'd consider in the teens, like, then it's a win. Then it's a win. It needs a follow up move to like get back into this draft, in my opinion. If the Blazers did that. Because I think you can add like a really good functional piece to the core that fits really, really well with some of the players that we just talked about.
What's up, Peter? He says, "Boys, I'm having a hard time staying positive. How you both holding up? I still wanted a top 5 pick. I mean, we've known they weren't going to get a top 4 pick since
I accept.
they won 10 out of 11 games. So
when it went to 11, I also knew like Portland was going to come up and Dallas was going to jump into the top 4. It was weird. I was like, oh, here comes, like, I knew we were going to see Portland at 11 once we got past 12. Eric, I can't even explain it. Like, I was like, of course. It saw it coming. So it sucks, but the team being up for sale is phenomenal. So that's what I'm really excited about. That was like the perfect news after the lottery. So that's how I'm holding up, is just happy about the team being for sale. Did we lose Eric? Yeah, we lost Eric. Come back, Eric. StreamYard, fix your collab cam, please. Oh, Eric's... Man, I hate that this happens. Why'd they have to shut down Skype? Why? Let me text Eric. My bad. Technical difficulties. There he is. I hate that collab cam does that.
Yeah.
Collab cam would be great because you can actually see my face when I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, scared him off. Yeah, Peter scared him off with your negativity. You know, because we're just always so positive about everything. We can't handle it. We can't handle negativity. Of course, we're kidding. But I mean, the ownership news like made me feel much better about the lottery.
Yeah. And I think as long as we take one of the players we're high.
What'd you say? You
like if we come out of it with Frick.
Are you lagging? Is that why you disappeared? Or am I lagging or is he lagging? If we're both lagging, then I'm lagging. But if he's lagging and I'm fine, then it's Eric. It's an Eric problem. I told you the draft was rigged, bro. I mean, dude, it's like...
Congrats, Ed. Congrats.
It's an accounting firm that made $51 billion last year. Why would they risk all that money in their entire business to help the NBA rig some trivial stuff to them, you know? Eric is in lag hell. It's Eric. Yeah, Eric is frozen.
See, I'm not... Collab cams keeps freezing.
I might need to disconnect and reconnect you. I don't know. Oh, he gone. I'm not gonna read that comment. Well, you fixed your camera. All right. Yeah. So the news about the sale made me feel a lot better. Maxime right now I have at 15. Finish off with him. Measured decently. Uh, too skilled to not be a rotational player at his size. He's just too skilled. Can shoot, pass, really good hook shot, like maybe the best post-up player in the draft. I just don't. Andy developed well defensively last year. Like at the end of the season, he was having some good moments as a rim protector. Like I just don't see how that's not a solid big in today's NBA with maybe upside for more. Like I look at what Vucevic is now, and it's like I feel like Reyno could potentially at least be that, which is a good starter, really good starter. So I really like Reyno. I think he should definitely go first round.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you have him in your 16 to 20?
Uh-huh.
Do you want to read off your 16 to 20?
Yeah, if it. Oh man. Oh man.
What?
Oh, I have some issues. My fanspo just reset and it went defaulted back to.
Oh, you didn't save it?
No, I thought I did,
Oh.
but it just
Well,
reset on me.
you can rebuild
I'm
that. I'll
screwed.
read off. No, you can
no,
rebuild it. You
I'm
don't remember
done.
what
No.
you had?
Dude, I spent an hour adding all these people and doing all this stuff. I'm
You gotta
screwed.
save it, man. You gotta save it. See, maybe it's your internet lagging. Maybe that's why it like refreshed the page. That's brutal. That's brutal. You don't think you can compile it from 16 on down in like 5 minutes just based on what you remember that you had?
I mean, I can try, but
try.
It keeps signing me out. Stupid fanspo.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll read off mine and then you tell me like which players you had like where. Do you want to do that?
Sure.
Is that what we're going to have to do? All right. So my 16 to 20, Kasparis Yakuchonis is 16. I haven't even really soured on him. I just like other players more at this point. Colin Murray Bowles at 17. His shot looked so bad. Did you see him shooting around the combine, Eric? Like, airballing and just...
I dropped him too.
Yeah, and his size. I might drop him even more at this point. Actually, I'll drop him tonight. I'll drop him to 19. All right, 16 I have Yakuchonis. 17 I have Noah Shanghai. 18 I have Yoxel Lendeborg. 19 I have Colin Murray Boyles. 20 I have Cam Jones. I feel like Cam Jones is slipping too much. Like I've seen him in second rounds now. Your thoughts on those players and like where did you have
Really...
What?
Go ahead.
Where'd you have Asenge?
I have no idea. I had him somewhere in that area. Yeah.
Yeah. Cam Jones still a fan of. I think for a contender, he'd be really good, like bench guard that could play right away. Lendeborg we talked about. And then, Yakuchonis, just the athleticism questions and like some of the turnovers and really rough performances he had. I don't know. Like, he had a stretch of the season where he looked really, really good as a big guard, but I don't even remember. I think, what was his measurements? Let me look him up.
He was like 6'4", something.
Basically 6'5", like 6'4" and 3/4 barefoot, 6'7" 3/4 wingspan, but 8'4" standing reach is like not the best. Still impressive measurements for a point guard, but I was hoping he'd be a little bit bigger. So yeah. All right. I guess I'll just go with my 21 to 25.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to comment on your board.
All right. Yeah. 21, I have Hugo Gonzalez. 22, I have Danny Wolf. 23, I have Walter Clayton Jr. 24, I have Asa Newell. And 25, I have Jace Richardson. Where'd you have Newell? Because I've completely soured on him.
I think I had those last two guys in my 16 to 20. I think I had like 18 and 19 or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, Newell, I still think he has a skill set that could potentially lead to him being okay being the 4, but until he proves that he can, it's kind of hard to bank on that. Man, I was hoping he'd have a little bit longer wingspan and standing reach.
Yeah.
But he's not center size at all.
No.
So just to put it in perspective, we talked about Carter Bryant being 6'6.5" with a 7-foot wingspan. That's the same wingspan as Mr. Newell there. So that was very frustrating to me. Like I said, I still feel like he could be a decent 4 eventually once he, because I do think he has the ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit. He has the ability to shoot, even though his splits weren't great. But you can't say that's for sure going to happen. So yeah, just disappointing that he's not a center moving forward. And then Jace Richardson measuring just over 6 feet tall was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I think did he have a decent wingspan? Was it like 6'6" or something?
Yeah, I think it was like 6'6". Let me look.
So not bad, if I remember correctly. But yeah, just a little too small for my liking.
Yeah, I have a 2.5 standing reach. I mean, his standing reach is only 1.5 inches shorter than Yakuchonis is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So maybe I shouldn't dock Jace Richardson that much, man. But yeah, he's short. I'll probably move him a little bit up. I think Newell's measurements were more of a red flag. Newell is just a tweener that is like, his skill set is better at a center spot, but he's not center sized. He's power forward sized. He's definitely an undersized center. Like, he's smaller than Rashir Fleming, basically, when you take into account like standing reach, wingspan. So it's like, he's a power forward, but at the power forward position, there's like no one skill that you can look at and be like, yeah, he's good at that for a power forward. Or like that's going to be something he can hang his hat on. Like, there's no clear like role that he slots into as a power forward. As a center, it was a little bit more clear. He had the worst measurements of any prospect, in my opinion, for his draft profile.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that.
I had the feeling he was going to measure like that, though. You remember even before the measurements, like lately, I'm out on Ace Duel at 11 for the Blazers. Like,
height wise, I was not surprised. But man, I don't know. It seemed like he had longer arms than that, but guess not.
Yeah. So this is why measurements are always intriguing, because it definitely changes the case for certain prospects. Definitely changes some things. So it's changed things for Newell, but I was already starting to sour on him, and then seeing that, it's like, yeah, you're sliding down my board. And then Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf I still like, is like a backup sixth man offensive big. And then Hugo, I still feel like he's getting slept on too much. Clayton, I like as a bench shooter that can be competitive defensively, even though his size will hurt him. He competes.
I mean, it's okay size. It wasn't great, but
yeah, he's a point guard size shooting
guard. I mean, he's
on the right team. On the right team, he should be on certain teams' big boards. He should be in their top like 17.
Yeah.
The teams like Orlando, he should be maybe top 15. Basically, any team with a big initiator or a big point guard that he can play off of, where he can guard point guards defensively, but like doesn't have to be your point guard on the offensive side of the ball, and can just like help with some of that and play off of guys and shoot the ball like he does. That is the best role for him. So like, he's a team fit guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could probably say the same about Jace Richardson as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, certain teams for those guys are like Orlando, I think, is for those two guys, like, the perfect example. I think both those guys would help Orlando actually next year. All right, 26 to 30. 26, I have LeBaron Philon. 27, I have Nolan Traore. 28, I have Thomas Sorber. 29, I have Joan Behringer. 30, I have Drake Powell.
Drake Powell moving up, huh?
Yeah, he measured well. His defense is good. His athleticism, like the athleticism testing, he was maybe the most athletic guy there based on testing. And then, I think he'll be able to shoot. I just think he wasn't given much responsibility at UNC. They always have guards that always handle the ball and do everything offensively. But I think like he translates to a pretty clean 3-and-D role in the league. So yeah, I think he has one of the higher floors at that point in the draft, especially for a one and done. So that's why I raised him. Did you raise him at all?
Yeah, I had him in my early second round.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some of the same reasons you mentioned, just a big wing that is a good defender, has some potential as a 3-and-D guy if he figures out a shot a little bit too.
Yeah. Um, you know what's crazy about Sorber is now that I'm thinking about it, like I might like him more than Newell. He
Yeah,
measured better. I
yeah,
thought I thought Sorber was like Sorber's like
he's going to
clearly
be
not.
power forward size.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like clearly like 6'9", and he doesn't make sense. I don't like him as a power forward. I like him more as a center, but I just thought like he's gonna be too undersized and
huge
basically
wingspan though.
yeah, but he has a 7'6" wingspan, 9'1" standing reach. That's 2 inches taller than Newell, and it's like I feel like his and Newell's comparisons are actually a little bit similar. Just in terms of like, yeah, there's some flashes of offensive skill there, but not enough that you could be confident in them like hanging their hat on it.
Hmm.
They're kind of similar to me, but Sorber's more center sized, so it's a little bit easier to project him. So yeah, I'm coming around a little bit on Sorber. I'm not going to like raise him into the lottery or anything, but late first round at this point with some of the guys that returned, I think is fine.
Yeah, I have him in like a group with Renault and Sorber. I think I had Newell up there. I thought I had one more center at Condon. I
Mm,
thought his wingspan wasn't great either, but tall wise, he had legit center height, I guess.
yeah,
Um, but I had those guys kind of all similarly rated.
yeah, yeah. I was hoping Condon would actually measure a little bit better. Um, so I was a little bit disappointed by that, but you know, is what it is. And then Traore, apparently he's been having some better games overseas, but his case is just soured. And then Behringer and Philon, we'll talk more about in future streams. All right, are you ready for my 31 to 35?
Yes.
It's just a very random group. 31, I have Liam McNeely. 32, I have Rocco Zakarski. 33, I have Noah Penda. 34, I have Will Riley. 35, I have Sion James.
Were you okay with Sion's measurements?
I did not
Like
see his
6'4" with a
measurements.
6'6" wingspan or something.
Damn, those were his measurements.
Something like that, yeah.
6'4.5" barefoot, 6'6.5" wingspan, 8'4" 4.5" center reach. I did not see those measurements. Yeah, I'm not thrilled about that. He's a smart player and moves well and can pass and can shoot and can play defense. Like I think I like the idea of like some of his guard skills at a small forward position. Size wise, it's a little rough. So yeah, I'll probably end up dropping him down my board. I'll just do that after the stream. So yeah, I'm definitely a little disappointed in that, but I think for the right team, he could still be a good swing at a role player in the second round.
I remember I had moved after watching Hanson Yang in the scrimmage. I moved him up into my 30s.
Did you?
Um,
Did he
just
look
had
good?
looked like he had legit size. Was
Yeah.
moving really well. Was doing some good things in a pick and roll. Had this sick like pass from the top of the key where he had a cutter coming down the left side with two guys on him,
Mm-hmm.
and he like from the top of the key spun the ball like through the middle of the paint, and it like spun and landed right in the guy's pocket when he was like cutting from the left side. It was crazy. But like, yeah, he just seemed like he was a really smart player and moved a lot better than I thought he did in film from overseas.
Yeah.
And
I need to watch
measured,
that
I think,
back.
a legit like 7'2", I think. Kind of like Malalaunch, if I'm not mistaken. I forget what
7'1" barefoot, 7'3" wingspan, 9'3" standing reach. Yeah. He'll be worth a swing in the second round. I did not watch that scrimmage, so I need to. But he's the type of guy that would benefit a lot from a scrimmage, from the combine. So it'll be interesting to see if his case rises. Will O'Reilly was like 6'8", but his just like 6'8" wingspan as well was a little disappointing. Yeah. He shoots the ball well. He's just skinny and not super athletic, and I don't know, like disappeared a lot. I like some of his traits at his size. I was just hoping he was a little bigger. It's tougher to overlook some of the ways he disappeared with his measurements. So that's why I have him at 34. I know some people are higher on him. Zakarski measured insanely well and moves well and looks like he might be able to shoot, and was like injured all year last year. He had like potential top 5 hype coming into the year, according to some people. 7'3" barefoot, 7'5" wingspan, 9'6.5" standing reach. I don't know. I just feel like, NBL is tough on some players that are then able to come to the league and be successful. If he was dealing with injuries too, moves decently at that size and has, a decent looking jump shot, I think that's worth a swing in the early second, given a lot of the guys that have dropped out. Because that's a tough player to find.
Are you talking about Tui or
Zakarski?
Oh, Zakarski.
Yeah. 9'6.5" standing reach. You see his measurements?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's big.
He moves decent for that size, so yeah. Mm-hmm. Early second is where I have him now.
Yeah.
Cool. And then 36, I have Adu Thiero. 37, I have Michael Ruzic. 38, I have Alex Condon. 39, I have Miles Bird. 40, I have Todd Pettiford.
Yeah, I have a lot of similar guys in that range.
Yeah. Ruzic measured really well. 6'11" barefoot, 9' standing reach. As a guy that can shoot, like.
Who are you talking about? Sorry.
Michael Ruzic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just somebody that size that can shoot the ball. And, it's defense, I think, is going to be a serious issue with him. I don't like him defensively at all, but, like, I don't know. A lot of these European players, right, they get taught fundamentals at a younger age and get brought up on that. So just the size and tested well athletically and shooting ability and, some of the traits you see out of, like, European players is just, I think, a good sign. I feel like 2 bigs that were taken in the second round that had some intriguing offensive traits that have had some really good moments last year that were one big I know I came around on late but like really liked going into the draft was Karlo Matkovic. He had some good moments for the Pelicans last year, and then Tristan Vukcevic for the Wizards. I don't know. I just feel like European big with shooting ability, with size, with some offensive traits is not a bad gamble to take. in the early to mid second round.
Yeah, I have a feeling this second round's going to be littered with international players, considering how many players ended up dropping out of the draft and going back to school or not even declaring for the draft. It felt like this was going to be a very deep draft in this part, and it still will be with some of these guys, but a lot of these guys might have been like fringe second round picks, and now they're definitely going to get some buzz. As Elizabeth Allen mentioned, Alex Tui, who I was talking about a minute ago, he was killing at the combine too. Looked really fluid. Looked like a man amongst boys sometimes out there today, and shot the ball well. His shot looks really nice, and just seemed like he was a really smart player.
Well, I have in my next 5, I have 4 international players.
Yeah, which four?
Can you guess the 4?
Well, who haven't you called? Bogoljub?
That's one of them.
Who else haven't you named? Well, do you have Tui in there?
No.
Okay. I don't know who else there would be. Well, Sergio De La Rey.
Yeah, that's one of them. So you got 2. One is somebody I don't like.
Are they on? How many of these guys are on Fanspo?
One of them definitely is on Fanspo and was getting, according to a couple people, some top 5 buzz earlier this year, and I do not like him. That's a giveaway. Like no ceilings at one point.
Oh,
Ben
Sarah.
Yeah.
Ben Sarah. Yeah, there we go. You hate Sarah.
All right, you're not going to guess the last one. All right, so here's my 41 to 45. Okay. 41, I have Sergio De La Rey. 42, I have Neoklis Avdalis out of Greece. 43, I have Ben Serif. 44, I have Jameer Watkins. 45, I have Bogoljub Markovic.
Nice.
Avdalis, I feel like nobody knows about him, and he's going to get drafted, and he's intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he belongs in the conversations with like De La Rey and Markovic and Rusic. Have you watched much of Avdalis? Or any of Avdalis?
Just a couple like random clips on Twitter.
I haven't watched a ton of them, but just like the way he moved, crafty wing. It's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So, vibes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any of those players you want to talk about?
No, we can move on.
Yeah. Did you list Jameer Watkins yet, Tori? I thought I heard his name, but wasn't sure if it was a pick or just convo. Yeah, there you go. He's at 44 for me. Cleveland needs Jameer Watkins. Jameer Watkins, I think, would be perfect for Cleveland. Tyson and Watkins, they're forwards of the future. All right, 46, I have Kobe Brea. 47, I have Hanson Yang. 48, I have Amari Williams. 49, I have Milos Uzan. 50, I have Alex Tui. Uzan might go back to Houston. They have the best recruiting class, though, so who knows? Brea, just best shooter in the draft.
Duke?
Huh?
They have a better recruiting class than Duke?
Yeah. Have you seen their recruiting class?
Have you seen Duke's?
Yeah. I think like 24/7 Sports has Houston as the basketball recruiting class rankings. 24/7 Sports. I'm forgetting names. So the 2025 basketball recruiting class rankings are as follows: Duke 69.29 points, Houston 68.16. So yeah, like they're up there with Duke. Let me read off some names. So Houston has Chris Sanak Jr., Isaiah Harwell and Kingston Flemings, all top 20 players on 24/7 Sports. And then Duke. Chris Sinak is like 7th ranked player, center. Could be a top 5 pick. And then Duke, of course, has Cam Boozer ranked 3rd. And then they have Nicholas Kamenya at 15, who had some impressive drives at the Hoop Summit, man. Like, really uses his off arm to clear space. It's interesting. And then Caden Boozer at 23. I'm just happy Gonzaga has a top 50 prospect committed to him. So that's a win. And then there's an S. Henderson, but it's Shelton Henderson, who I think might have been committed to Duke and then changed to Miami. That might be right.
Yeah, he was. He was committed to Duke.
Yeah. Nice. Look at me, knowing next year's class already. Sean Abayev is one of my sleepers already for next year, by the way.
Nice.
He looked good at the Hoop Summit. The 6'7" scorer. Next, Kelly Oubre. Anyway, back to this year. Any other players you want to touch upon?
No, I mean, you did a good job of touching on all of them.
Yeah. 51, Tyrese Proctor. 52, Janai Broom. 53, R.J. Lewis Jr. 54, Ryan Kalkbrenner. 55, Micah Peavy. I need to watch a little bit more Micah Peavy. But, yeah. He might rise the more I look into him. 56, Max Shulga. 57, Dink Pate. 58, Hunter Salas. 59, John Tonje. 60, Mark Sears. And at that point, like, I almost put Grant Nelson at 60. It's that thin, you know? It's like Jackson Robinson or Grant Nelson or Mackenzie Mbako. Maybe even Ryan Nembhard. That's where we're at there at the end of the second.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ryan Nembhard has a decent chance of getting drafted, actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What did he measure? 5'7"? How tall is he really? I'm sorry.
I mean, he is very short. Let me look. I don't know. If somebody knows his measurements, let me know, because I can't find it on Twitter and it's not on NBA's website yet. But yeah, I mean, Andrew Nembhard was only 6'3" and plays the 2, so maybe there's some hope. But Ryan Nembhard, I don't think ever has a chance of being the defender Andrew Nembhard was or is right now. Anyway, that's my big board. Any other players you want to talk about that we didn't touch upon?
I was going through. I think we pretty much mentioned everyone I wanted to mention. So.
Yep. Noah Shanghai is the next Giannis. He moves nothing like Giannis did coming into the draft, close. Man. I don't really get the comparison. Giannis was shifty and like good deceleration and acceleration with like the ball handling skills to match it. And Noah is not anything like that. If you go back and watch Giannis, it's like, yeah, obviously today, like, he would be a top 5 pick. Oh, there goes Eric. Rest in peace. Welcome back. If you go back and watch it, like, Giannis is just the way he moved with the dribble, it's uncanny. And it's like, I've gone back and watched so much Giannis tape. Like, okay, this dude was slept on. Not much was known about him. But, like, is there anybody that's being slept on that has similar traits off the dribble and movement patterns to him? And it's like, nothing compares. Like, I will go find a player I like the way they move as, like, 6'8", 6'9", and then go compare him to Giannis and be like, oh, I don't know if I like this prospect much anymore. You know what I mean? It's just different. It's just different. So... I don't think there will ever be a prospect like Giannis that is not taken in the top 5 to 6 ever.
Yeah, I don't know. Too much of that for me is looking at it through hindsight. So I
Yeah, but
can't
I think
really
if you
say.
I think if you compare the footage side by side
Hmm.
and like try and take hindsight out of it, and just compare the footage, it's like Giannis will make moves, and it's like, okay, I want to watch this guy. Does he make any moves, anything like that? And it's like, no. No, like none of them are doing like a crossover spin move in transition at full speed and then throwing a dump off pass like right after they complete the spin. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that. There's just certain things on Giannis's tape where it's you don't see guys doing it at like 6'9" and as quick as he was. So Noah Fast Step at 6'10" is bonkers. Yeah, like he's good in a straight line. But like deceleration is one of the top things for shiftiness, like being able to stop on a dime, change directions on a dime, and then being able to be crafty, creative with your dribble, mix up your timing, mix up your pace. Like he has none of those traits. He has none of those traits. Maybe he can develop them. If he could, he'd be probably very, very good. But it's the same reason why Ousmane Dieng is not an all-star. And Ousmane Dieng as a prospect, was shiftier and more creative with his dribble than Noah Osanga is. So I'm not fully bought in on him. And I'm not fully bought in on this stream removing Eric all the freaking time. Streamlabs, fix your collab cam. His mobile is fluid but not bursty or bouncy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I thought Ousmane Dieng would be so good. I thought he would be too.
It's annoying.
It is. But yeah. I don't know. Rest in peace to Skype. Don't know why it happens, but at least I can re-add you pretty quickly. Oh well. Anyway, that's my big board.
And part of mine. Sorry.
Yeah. Were you guys so interested in Derek Queen? He can't defend. He can't shoot threes. He's less athletic than Klingon, and his offensive game is just scoring. He has good passing flashes. Like he's going to be a guy that can pass the ball, and scoring is a really important thing in the NBA. But I mean, I have him at like 11. Not that high.
Was he asking us? Because you and I are both a little lower than consensus on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think on the right team, it makes a lot of sense. Like if he could play next to Chet, that'd be great for him. Great fit, but yeah. Yes, we talked about Cedric Coward earlier in the stream. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Alrighty.
Yeah, fun. Draft is a month and 10 days away or something like that. 41 days or something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, and I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out for the stream. We'll be live again next Monday with another edition of Blazers Uprise Live. Oh man, it'll be on. It's time to go to bed.
You're yawning, man.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back when that's over. We'll be back with a normal edition of Blazers Uprise Live. We'll talk about any new rumors. We'll talk about the conference finals probably being set. I believe Denver, OKC Game 7 is on Sunday, and then Boston, New York, if there is a Game 7, will be on Monday. Really looking forward to Denver versus OKC Game 7. I'm rooting for Denver, not going to lie. I just want chaos in the playoffs. Denver, Minnesota versus Indiana, New York is what I'm rooting for at this point. So, it sucks what happened to Jason Tatum. Still not rooting for the Celtics though. They won their championship, and I want new teams in the finals. I want parity. It's fun. So we'll see what happens, and we'll have you covered on Monday. Anyway, we are out of here. Hopefully you enjoyed the big board. If you want to leave your own big board, you can do it in the comment section if you want to after the stream is over. It's always interesting to see what you guys have. Also, you can join our Discord and keep up with our mock off-season if you want to keep up with all the chaos. We had to install a veto panel of different people to decide whether or not to veto trades or not. Because these GMs are trying to get themselves fired by their ownership groups. Let's just say that. So you guys can go check it out on Discord. Link in the description box below. We are out of here. We will catch you next time. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!